What I will do next is this data that I have gotten, I want to be able to pass it across all the other components. When I say components, I mean the components here or the pages. Each component is a functional state, is a functional component which maintain its own state. So they are not aware of this data that has just come from the backend server. So how can we make it able to get the data? Then we can achieve that by using what is called context. Okay, and right now I will be creating the React context. First of all, I will come over to the source. Let me make a right click, and then I will create a new folder, and let me give the folder a name, context. Okay, so all my contacts will be organized inside the context folder, and then inside the folder I will create a file, and let me give the file a name, context provider .jsx. Okay, and let me start by doing RAFCE inside the context provider, although I will need to make a few changes. So this export default, let me remove it, and instead I will make the context provider right here, I will make it export, okay, which is a named export actually, not a default export. Okay, and also let me destructure the props here and pick the children. All right, so at the top here I would like to import create context, use context, and also use state, use state, right, like so. Then let me create a context. So what do I call this context? Okay, so let me just give it name app context, for example. It can be anything actually, and that is going to be create context, like so. Okay, so inside this return statement, instead of returning a div, we are actually going to return the app context which we have just created. All right, and then that app context is also going to return children, like so. So this prop children is passed as the children to whatever context we have down here. Let me break this into other lines, and let me also pick value here, and that is going to return an object. And this object I will destructure it, and then inside I will provide what I want to be able to pass through all the components that should have access to this context. So let me first of all come to the top here, and I will do RAS and also set RAS, which should be equals to use state. So this is similar to what I did inside the app component, and also let me do PUs and also set PUs, which is also going to be use state, like so. All right, so with this I am going to be able to pass the RAS with the value of RAS. Okay, so this one is a key value pair, but because the key and the value, they are all the same thing, we can simply use only one, like so. RAS, then set RAS, then we have PUs, and then we have set PUs, like so. All right, so there is one thing which I forgot, that this app context should have a provider, so it should look like something like so. Okay, app context dot provider, that is how it has got to be. All right, so now I will export the context which I want to others to be which I want to other components to be able to access. So let me do export const, and let me say use app context. Remember, this can be anything. This I simply decided it can be anything. It doesn't really matters, which is equals to be use context, and then here you should pass the context which you want to be able to allow, which in my own case is going to be app context. This use context has to be a function on its own, so which means there has to be something like so. Now after creating the context, I would like to go to the main.jsx, and then I should import the context. So let me go to the top here, and right after that let me import context provider. Okay, I will import context provider from the slash context slash context provider.jsx, and after doing that, then I should come down here and then I should just call the context provider like so, and then move this router inside the context provider. So this will allow you to use that context. Okay, and that is all that we need to do to this main.jsx. Then I will need to also come back to the app.jsx, and I will do some changes here in the app.jsx. First of all, I will not be using the state hook here. Instead, I will provide the hook from the context. Okay, those RAS, I will provide them from the context. So let me import use app context from the context provider like so, and then this I will change it to const, and I will destruct RAS here as well as set RAS. Okay, so with this, the set RAS has been picked. So let me go ahead and save that. We'll go and refresh and see what I do get now. Okay, so now we get the application back, and we are waiting for the message to return. Oh, I think I removed that from the console. So let me go back to the app.jsx. Of course, yes, I removed from the console. So let me display it inside one of the pages. For example, let me go to this home.jsx and I want to display the list of all the RS inside here. So first of all, I will do import use app context from context provider. Okay, so I will come inside here and I will do const. This time around I want to pick rs from, that is from the use context app as a function. So now I have access to this rs, and what I will do is let me come inside this div and let me type h1, and after that I will do rs.map. Okay, and this requires a callback function as well, and with an instant return. So what am I actually returning inside here? I am returning an individual array. Okay, so here, let me, at least for now, let me make a div tag, and then inside the div tag let me give a key which should be ra dot, let's say, id. Okay, and then inside here I will simply pick the ra dot array, just like so. All right, so let me go ahead and save that and see if everything is going to work, which of course it has worked. You can see under rs we have Bohid, Buji, Gabia, and so on and so forth, all the way to Vanderpoy. Okay, so which means we are able to, using this context, we are able to drill down the context and use it from a different component. Actually, initially the hook that calls the data from the database was created inside app.jsx by using this Axios, but we are able to also use it inside this home by using some React context.